just to let you all know, we are now live, so this is officially streaming.
All right. And it is 5 o'clock?
Yep, we'll call the meeting to order.
I'll call the meeting to order, and if I can have you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any public input? Seeing none.
Mr. Chairman, you're gonna have to speak into the microphone.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that reminder. Yes, thank you very much. All right, next up on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes from September 8th, the regular meeting. Everyone had a chance to review them? Any thoughts or comments? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to accept the September 8th, 2025 regular meeting notes.
And second?
I'll make the second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I got to abstain, I wasn't there.
Okay. And next up is correspondence.
All right, so in this month's packet, you see a thank you letter from the Terry Broder Breast Cancer Foundation for our assistance in one of their walks. They specifically mentioned Sergeant Matthew Fedor. He has done a ton of events like this recently, and he gets a lot of calls and letters in thanking him. He's very courteous to the walkers, helps them out, and he's just friendly as they pass him. So they do this walk every year in our town, and they always send a thank you, but they did single him out by name, and I think it's just because of his demeanor. He's very helpful out there.
Very good. Any thoughts or comments? All right, and Traffic Commission review.
All right, Mark Devine is not here, so Lieutenant Flanagan will cover his part. So I do want to remind everyone, I know we have people maybe watching from home tonight because we're live streaming, but we have 2 months of reports. So I did ask everyone to be relatively brief in their comments because we have to cover 2 months of reports because we didn't have a meeting last month. And so if you're watching for the first time, we're not typically this brief, but we're covering 2 months worth of reports.
Very good.
And there's Mark Devine now. Thanks, Mark. We're at traffic.
Oh, perfect timing. Overall, back October, one of the main things we did is we reached out to DOT regarding Route 85 at Target for the left turn lanes from the Commons and from Target. As they turn, they come very close to each other. So they have decided to take that on. So they will be having the engineers look at it, see if they can move the lines, do whatever they need to do to make that a little better. This past month, we had a few traffic light issues, which we were able to resolve pretty quickly with DOT's help. One of them was at Avery Lane, which we found out is an issue with the time change, that when a lot of the heavy traffic came, the photo sensor is hitting how the sun hits it. It wasn't detecting vehicles and backing Avery Lane up to Route 156, unfortunately. So that should hopefully be resolved now that the timing is a little different. But they're unable to fix that when it happens, so it might happen for a few days each year that it happens. And
So during those backups, we did have an officer from patrol go out there and clear out traffic. I think the first selectman was stuck in it one day. But patrol does go out and, free up the traffic during those few minutes where it's been backing up.
And back to September's information, one of the main things that we had was a speed study on Route 1 out here in front of the town hall. Along that, we noticed that we definitely have a few vehicles which all tend to be overnight going, but the speeds are a little high there, so we're going to be watching a little further. But there is a breakdown in the packet of speed range there, as well as some other roads that we were able to hit.
All right, so again, brief summary, 2 months worth of reports. I just wanted to publicly thank Mark Devine. He, as you all know, is the administration part of our traffic unit, and we had another event this past weekend down at Mago Point. Mark does a ton of work organizing, working with the fire police and making sure these events are safe while doing all these other traffic studies and stopping cars. And so I just wanted to mention in front of all of you how great of a job I think he's doing, and true benefit to the town.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any thoughts or comments? All right, Chief's report.
All right, so tonight we'll start off with the K-9 report. Lieutenant Flanagan.
All right, so
And
I'm
please just make sure we all speak into the mics.
going to cover September and October. Did want to note Officer Janung, he's one of our canine handlers. Over the last 2 months, he's been to 3 national seminars, and he's working on getting his trainer status. We do train with a regional canine group, and it's a real benefit to the agency as well as the region to have somebody with that title. Officer Lane, who is a little bit later in his career, he's obviously at Clark Lane Middle School, is one of the few master trainers in the state of Connecticut. And Officer Janung is starting to work toward that title. So I just wanted to point that out. On September 4th, K9 Ozzie and Officer Janung assisted the Montville Police Department with an open-air sniff of a motor vehicle where paraphernalia was observed in plain view. K9 Ozzie showed alert behavior on the vehicle, made an indication, and through investigation, the suspect was taken into custody for narcotics-related charges. I also wanted to note that K9 Ozzie, Officer Janung, and Officer Ewing, who's one of our trained canine decoys, conducted a demonstration at the Harvest Festival in October, which was a town event. And they always do a great job down there working to put on a nice show for the public. K9 Tico and Officer Serto, on the 1st of October, they responded to Route 12 in Groton to assist with a 70-year-old missing male with dementia. Track was commenced, and while they were tracking, the subject was located in the area in which the track was being conducted. So, good job by the 2 teams.
Any questions on the K-9 report? Moving on to the youth reports, Lieutenant Flanagan.
So again, covering September and October. So as school got going again, our 3 SROs attended a multitude of events, including back-to-school nights, meeting with parents, and attending extracurricular events, oftentimes after school, soccer games, cross-country mates, and football games. In September, SRO Malborn did handle a reckless driving complaint on school grounds and issued a misdemeanor summons to a student. He also completed 2 arrested student reports and provided paperwork to the superintendents of the 2 districts. They were not both Waterford students, but when a juvenile gets arrested in our town, oftentimes he'll handle that paperwork of the notification to an outside district. October, SRO Winters attended the 3 trunk or treat events at Quaker Hill, Oswegatchie, and Great Neck School for Halloween events. It's always a hit handing out candy out of the police cruisers, so we got good feedback on that. And there was a fight at the high school on the 6th of October, which SRO Malborn investigated. 3 female students were issued juvenile summons, but all 3 were diverted to our juvenile review board, and that's a way that we can, deal with these things at the lowest level possible. So.
Any questions on the youth reports? Moving on to investigative services, Lieutenant Van Overloop.
In August, Detective Bonkowski assisted the United States Treasury Department with a cell phone extraction. This went into September, which she was then notified that she's going to be getting a certificate of appreciation. For that, they came last month in October to give that award. It was on Facebook. It was a really good job done by her, especially since that she's really just getting going with doing the cell phone extractions, so it was a pretty good case. Investigative Services also applied for an arrest warrant in September for an individual in violation of the sex offender registry. We have that warrant signed. The individual is homeless, so we are still looking to serve the warrant on him, but we do have the warrant in hand. And Detective O'Connell met with the court in September. He put together a warrant for robbery in town. He's been meeting with liaisons from the court to see what they want further to try to get that warrant over the hump to be able to get it signed. So that was September. Into October, we now have investigator Bushwhack up and rolling investigative services. We were able to get him into numerous trainings. He's done the photography training, crime scene, rapid DNA, and Links training, which is a computer program. So he has a handful more to do, but he is able to take on-call on his own now. So he's doing a pretty good job back there. October also saw numerous search warrants being signed. One was for the robbery case. After the meeting, they wanted a search warrant done for another part of it, so that is underway, as well as a burglary case. Detective Carroll got a search warrant signed in regards to a financial elderly fraud financial case. And we also assisted patrol with search warrants in a Bitcoin case. Also, investigative services assisted patrol with a larceny from Best Buy in Waterford once it was discovered that it was more than just an isolated incident. It's a retail larceny crew, and we were able to help them identify the crew involved in that.
Any questions on investigative services? Moving on to the training report, Lieutenant Ferlin.
So September and October saw quite the flurry of personnel movement, which is in the positive for us, people coming, not leaving. We had recruit Matt graduated from Post Academy in September. He's progressing very well through field training right now. We also swore in recruit Morgan, who's up at Post Academy in Meriden, doing well by all accounts we get from them. And we swore in recruit Chapman, who was a lateral transfer from a local agency. He's already completed his very abbreviated FTO process and on his own. And then into October, recruit Sibilia and recruit Krajewski were both other, as well, lateral transfers who are progressing now through their abbreviated FTO and will be on their own relatively soon. As far as our training for certified officers that we already have, we sent recruit Boxley and Abram to the crisis intervention training. That's something we pledged a handful of years back to make sure every officer in our department has, with the exception of one more that just got off FTO, who will be going to the next class they have. We've been able to maintain that, so it's very important to us in the work that we do every day. We also sent Sergeant Nickerson to a FBI, part of the LEADA Supervisor Leadership Institute training. That was something that used to lack in the state is leadership training. Once you get promoted to sergeant, there wasn't much. We're seeing a push for that, both internally, something that we want to focus on, as well as in the region. And then in October, one of the trainings that Investigator Bushwhack did, that investigative photography, again, getting him up to speed. And we also sent recruit Abram and Maselli to the A-RIDE, which is the Advanced Roadside Impaired Driving Enforcement. So that's the next step after a DUI enforcement. That's for drugged driving. So there's some signs and some tests and some things that they can do to sharpen their skills for drug-related impairment for operators.
So just one thing I wanted to highlight on the top of both September and October's training reports, it says, training has temporarily stopped with the new hiring process as we are at full staff. As you know, we've been talking about this for some time. A little joke here, enjoy it while it lasts. Officer Girardi is retiring December 1st. She does not wish to have a formal ceremony, so we're going to do some internal efforts with her to recognize her years of dedicated service to the town. But after the new year, we will start a new hiring process, and you will more than likely have some interviews ahead of you. So you have a month and a half or so. Any questions on training? Moving into support services, Lieutenant Ferlin.
So, as the same with records, Jenna Hancock, our new clerk, to replace Joyce Brown, who retired a few months ago, has started on her own and just getting comfortable in there with the different tasks that they do day to day. With having that position kind of fully staffed on days, it's allowed them to take on a little bit of work that the sergeants were doing every morning on electronically processing these arrest paperwork packets, sending them down to court. Ashley Cuvent has taken that on, and she's very particular in making sure every box is correct, which is awesome. We were able to finally get fully electronic the month prior. Now they've taken on that responsibility, allowing our sergeants to get out on the road quicker in the morning rather than having to process paperwork for the court. Our records clerks wanted to recognize CSO Bertrand. All of the CSOs are tasked with warrant follow-ups, trying to make contact, see are these people still living, are they in the area, are they locked up in some other state, and just getting some background information for active arrest warrants. He continues to do a heavy lift on that, goes very in-depth, and was able to get a few people to turn themselves in, including one from New York from a warrant from 2017. So no one else has been able to get them to turn themselves in, but maybe he spoke French to them and they understood what he was saying and got them to turn themselves in. So good work by him. As far as October, again, the state's pushing everything electronic, so now these clean slate erasures, which go back to cases more than a decade old. There's some automatic erasures that come for minor offenses like marijuana offenses and stuff. So the state had some technology issues that delayed the process. They've got that worked out, so we had a whole bunch that were dumped into records for them to process, to mark as automatic erasures. And then they continue to work on vacating older warrants that are more than 10 years old for felonies that have no leads to them, getting the courts to approve vacating those warrants.
Any questions on support services?
I had one quick question. I noticed the large FOI request included the review of thousands of emails. Is there anything else you can tell us about that?
Yeah, it was a very broad for the flock cameras that are in town. The ACLU is looking at them all across the state, so nothing particular to us. But they're looking back for the entire year of 2025, any email regarding LPRs or flock. So just the word flock in it gave us thousands. An overwhelming majority of them will be releasable, but we just got to make sure there's nothing specific to cases that is not FOIable. So the clerks are going through those as well.
Yes, so as far as I know, every police department in the state received the same request. It's for license plate readers. And so Dave and the team have been working hard to make sure we respond quickly and get it to them as fast as possible. But it's a pretty heavy lift. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions on support services? Moving on to patrol, Lieutenant Flanagan.
Just gonna highlight a couple quick cases. Throughout the past couple months, the region has seen a little bit of an uptick in stolen motor vehicles. The state police on September 16th had put out a broadcast for a stolen motor vehicle. One of our alert officers, Officer Ewing, reported seeing the vehicle traveling at excessive speeds on Old Norwich Road. We did not engage, but he put the message out over the radio. Short time later, the vehicle was recovered at Leary Park, confirmed to be a stolen motor vehicle. Canine track was conducted, and then a lengthy investigation over the course of several days was conducted. The back room did help us out a little bit, but it was predominantly conducted by the patrol officers. 2 juveniles were ultimately located and taken into custody, one of which was taken into custody by a juvenile warrant. So it was a good job by patrol officers. And then on September 21st, Officer Julie Jordan, was doing routine motor vehicle enforcement on Norwich Road and conducted a traffic stop for a moving motor vehicle violation. Through her investigation, probable cause was developed to search the vehicle, and she located 10 individually packaged bags of fentanyl. So it was a good job by Officer Jordan getting those drugs off of the street. Going back to the stolen motor vehicle theme, on October 7th, day shift received several flock notifications for a stolen motor vehicle traveling through town. The vehicle was stolen out of Middletown. Again, through investigative efforts and responding to the areas that we were getting the alerts, the vehicle was located on fire in the area of Walmart. Evening shift kind of took over the investigation, worked with one of the local bus companies, and located the individual that had been in possession of the stolen car. He was taken into custody and arrested. So good job, cooperative effort by day shift and evening shift. And then lastly, on October 20th, Sergeant Ferrier, Sergeant Furman were training some of our newer officers on the ATVs. They were back in the woods in a couple different areas in town, and they located an illegal campsite. 2 subjects that were at the campsite had warrants for their arrest. They were taken into custody. We then worked with DOT to get the site cleaned up and to get a proper environmental cleanup done. So nice job by those guys taking enforcement while on training. So.
Any questions on the patrol reports? Moving into animal control, Lieutenant Ferlin.
So in September, a couple interesting calls. The roaming cow that had been reported for weeks up in the Vauxhall area actually came from a farm in Montville. No one could get close enough to the cow itself, but eventually did return home. So found his way home safely. The ACOs also went to a homeless encampment with a dog tied to a milk crate with a bunch of rocks in it. They took possession of the dog temporarily until the owners were found, and did some education with them on what are the requirements for tethering, access to food and water and shelter should it need be. They were able to provide some food to ensure that dog had a good meal as well out of food that's been donated to the animal shelter. In October, you can see there's another newborn kitten that they are taking on. They take home and trade off. The two ACOs do every few hours, waking up to feed, to bottle feed the kitten, clean up after the kitten, just help him. Doesn't have the mom around, so something that they take on and they take home with all of their other animals that they have as well. They've assisted Deep. We have no resolution to it yet with 7 dead seagulls that were found on the football field at the Waterford High School. So Deep came down to do an investigation. Believe it or not, seagulls are a protected species. So we don't have a resolution from them yet if they determine any sort of cause or whatever.
Any questions on animal control? Community engagement, Lieutenant Van Overloop.
In the month of September, Jacob Malloy started with us as an intern. He's from Central Connecticut State University, so he will be with us for the next few months. Officer Fredericks, along with Hodges, spoke at the New England Association of Chief of Police Annual Conference about police facility canines. Eric gets a lot of requests for these type of things. For officer wellness, he helped orchestrate members from the Waterford PD participating in the Waterford Country School golf tournament, as well as the police chaplains came in and grilled food for the officers and put on a lunch for us. And also during September, there was the Tip a Cop where he raised a little over $1,400 for the Connecticut Special Olympics, where Fat Tuna Restaurant had us come in. Recruitment efforts in October, he participated in the Waterford High School's job fair. He held recruitment sessions at Quinnipiac University as well as Mitchell College. For seasonal events with Halloween, he had a lot. The Waterford Trunk or Treat, Charter Oak Federal Credit Union had a trunk or treat. There was also the daycare, Carolot Daycare came in with the little ones and got candy on Halloween. And he also organized the Waterford Police Department's part of the Harvest Festival at Waterford Beach.
Any questions on community outreach? Back to you, sir.
All right, old business, I do not see any. On to new business. Review of the 2026 meeting schedule. Has everyone had a chance to look at that? Any thoughts or comments?
Not yet.
I see the October is moved a day for the holiday, to
Yeah.
Tuesday.
I do believe that's Columbus Day, Indigenous People Day. Yeah.
All right. Do we need a motion to approve?
Yes.
Approve the
This-
calendar?
The meeting schedule, yes.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
And a second?
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, Retirement Commission appointment.
Isn't that December?
I think the answer is due in December.
Oh, okay.
Who's our current, it's you? Are you interested in staying on?
Why not? We had one meeting since
Okay.
last time. It was just reviewing financials, but yeah, I'll stay on. I
All
don't
right.
care.
All right,
Yeah.
if there's no other.
Anyone would
interested-
want it?
Thank
That
you,
was my
though.
next question, to make sure there's,
I'm all set. Thank you, though,
Yeah.
for offering.
all right.
Yeah, I'll
Do I-
stay.
All right. Do I hear a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
I'll second that motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. All right, next up, discussion on Crossroad, Boston Post Road Rotary.
Yeah, so the first selectman and I had a discussion, actually, we've had many discussions about the traffic backup on crossroads, certain times of day. And recently, we kind of had the discussion of would a rotary work here? It's a state road, it's not the town's decision. However, for the state to consider it typically, and that's why I asked Mark to come back up to the table, typically they'd like the local traffic authority, which is you, to initiate that request to the state. I do believe that the intersection, me personally, could benefit from it. I do think there may have to be some property acquisitions by the state. Not sure they have the appetite for that or not, but this is basically a discussion if you, as the local traffic authority, want us to start that discussion with the state or not.
And that would be exploratory to see if it's feasible?
And Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think with a letter coming from us on behalf of you, they would review the feasibility of it, the cost, and, whether it's approved or not, you're talking, it's pretty far down the road, but this just gets a conversation started with the state. Am I all right with that?
Correct. When we want something to get started, or if anyone in the community wants to get started, they have to come through the town first. Once the LTA gives their opinion on it, if they're in support of it, DOT will then review it and see if it's something that it's feasible or that. From previous discussions of the traffic backup there, and speaking with one of the engineers, he said without a study, he's like, the only thing I can imagine that would work down that area would probably be something along widening the roads, multiple lanes, and rotary.
Yeah, so the backup on Cross Road headed south, roughly between the hours of 3 and 5. It's pretty extensive, gets up to the parkways, and we've asked the state DOT traffic to come out, review the light, make sure it's working properly, and every time they do, they come right out, they're pretty prompt, and they said it's working completely correct, and that the main priority is Route 1, it's not Cross Road, and so this could potentially be a solution if the state had an appetite and their engineers believed that it would work.
So tonight, we're not actually approving the concept of a rotary, we're just initiating the process to gather more information, is that correct? Or no?
No. So I believe if you want to initiate that conversation and they do their reviews, it's their road, it's up to them. But the request for them to consider it would be tonight. So I don't believe it would come back before you.
Are there other places on state roads where they put rotaries?
Yeah, so they're starting to put them in a lot of places. I know Norwich is getting 3 or 4 on the main road. New London in front of the high school. They're putting one down at Vauxhall in front of Goodyear and Town Fair Tire. Not necessarily all state roads. Salem has one on 85. They're starting to use them more, I think, because they're seeing in Massachusetts, who has a ton of them. They do work in certain areas. Can't say I'm the biggest fan of rotaries, but there is a serious traffic issue there. The volume's too much for that intersection, and if they can't adjust the timing of the light, potentially, I'm not an engineer, but potentially it could be a solution. But I do not believe it would come back before you. If we asked them to do a review and they like the idea and have the appetite for it, they would just move forward if they wished.
So would we be notified of their finding one way or the other?
Yeah, there'd be public hearings, just kind of like they're doing with the intersection up at Old Norwich and Route 32. They had a pretty busy public hearing here the other night that we were at. So it's a long process of gathering information, design, public hearings, public input. And I do believe they'd have to acquire some property to make it work there. Specifically the one right on the corner of Crossroads, Cerise's Automotive. I think it just seems like you'd have to acquire that property. So there's a lot to this, but it starts with a request coming from you.
Other thoughts?
Mr. Chairman, can I add something to this? I would like to thank the Chief of Police for pursuing, this idea. My office gets inundated with complaints about the backup on Cross Road and literally all the way past Maryland and that neck of the woods, and it's consistent, it's constant. But also now you're starting to see the trend go, beyond now the old Septembers and down that way. So it's starting to grow, and so I want to thank you for doing that. I've also, before I even spoke to the chief, I also spoke to the owner of Cerise's, knowing that we're not in the business of property acquisition in town. Like we want to respect businesses and people's land. So I even just mentioned to him before I even said anything out loud, and he did say that he would be interested in the discussion. He wouldn't thank me for at least talking to him ahead of time. So at least that's out there. It wasn't a yes or no from him, but it was in a, you can't do that. So he was supportive of an idea like that if it took property acquisition. So that's kind of a start for a local move. But I told him nothing's guaranteed, but that would be the first thing that would have to be done probably. So that's kind of where I was at with input from the public about this. But I was also told not too long ago that multiple lane rotaries they're not fond of, and I also heard that we have 5 points of entry, not 4, so I don't know what's gonna happen. You know, that little road out, I can't remember the name of the street,
Sunnycrest?
Sunnycrest is a tricky one, for rotaries, is what I've just been told by people that I know in DOT. So just having this conversation, I think, would help a lot of the residents that go on, you know, social media and sitting in it and talking about it. At least, us as a group are looking at doing something proactively if we can with the state. That's all, so I appreciate it.
And we're just starting this discussion tonight. If you guys want to talk about it again, we could put it under old business, continue this conversation before a request went to the state. But we needed to at least start talking about it tonight.
From the sound of it, it sounds like it'll improve emergency vehicle response, because you're not gonna be dealing with the backup on the hills there, and
Yeah, it probably could. So Crossroad south of 95 gets very tight. And when that backup is there, if emergency vehicles are headed north and cars don't have anywhere to go, so they can't get out of your way, so you got to kind of stay behind them until they can safely pull over. I don't have any data to really support that. It's just my personal experience with it, but potentially.
any other thoughts?
Did you guys have anything you want to add to anyone?
I mean, again, the main thing is that the lights have been changed multiple times to accommodate, and they said that it's optimized to the best that they can do, given the roadway features and the amount of traffic that we have going through the road at this time.
If there's no other thoughts or discussions, is there a motion for this?
I'll make a motion to send a letter to the state to do an exploratory, what are they gonna do, an informational,
Well,
how do you want it phrased?
it would be a letter from the local traffic authority requesting a review of the intersection for a potential of a rotary.
That's what I said. Let's make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. And last item, executive session.
Yeah, so I was hoping to go into executive session. I did tell everyone, with the exception of IT, that they can leave, and I'll close out the meeting and take the time we leave, just so I could talk to you about a couple things. And so if you had any other questions for anyone here, I would say probably ask them now.
I'm good. Thank you.
So for this, we need our mics to go red, and the IT guy will stop the streaming. It'll go to a blank screen. He's going to turn his headphones off so he can't hear us, and we'll have to knock and turn it back on when we go to close the meeting. Yes, we need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're in executive. All right, we're coming out of executive session. No motions or decisions were made.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to
I'll make
adjourn,
that
yes.
motion.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.